All right, the taxman is back. Well, the taxman never really leaves, does he? And some are having none of it this year. In attempts to simplify the tax return process, SARS, you may have noticed this, has fully automated the assessments. It means it's calculating everything and filed for you, but many people have had different experiences when taking this route. I'll be honest, mine over the last couple of years has been seamless, but I know people who are still fighting from last year. Now, some taxpayers are claiming to have received refunds without prior notification of auto-assessment. That's a problem, while others are claiming the figures or their returns reflected in these assessments aren't accurate, and they're not quite sure what to do with that, especially if the money's already been paid into your account from SARS. Luckily, we have some experts to talk to. One of those is Senior Manager at Mazars Tax Consulting. It's Tertius Troost making time. Hello, Tertius. Good morning. So for us non-tax and accounting people, auto-assessment seems like a good idea until it goes horribly wrong. Just tell me what auto-assessment is supposed to be doing. I imagine it's meant to make our lives easier.
No, definitely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's something that SARS introduced in 2021, so we should remember that it's only in its third year and it's still in its infancy. SARS is still trying to figure out the systems and make it work seamlessly. But what it entails is SARS is busy gathering all third-party data from your banks, or your medical aid, your retirement annuities, and populating the return on your behalf. And thereby they can use, or let's just call it artificial intelligence, in order to calculate your tax liability or the refund, and then actually have that pre-populated and sent to you via SMS, and you can then just either accept or reject this auto-assessment.
So the problem, I suppose, for those of us who aren't trained as tax consultants or accountants or who don't have anything to do with SARS, we wouldn't know this auto-assessment if it's a good assessment or not a good assessment. I suppose these days anyone who gets a bit of money in their account from SARS will take it. But how do we know if it's actually accurate? What are we supposed to be looking for?
Well, usually if you are just an employee without any other forms of income, then they won't, your employer would have withheld pay as you earn on the income that you've earned. So there shouldn't be any discrepancies between what has been provided to SARS by your employer and the amount in your assessment. But it's a different story when you have forms of interest from banks, or whether you have income from other sources, or whether you want to deduct certain expenses when you submit your tax return. In that case, you need to make sure that SARS has all the accurate information. So you are able to pull up the return that SARS has pre-populated and just check whether you're in agreement with the information, because you would have received quite a significant amount of information from financial institutions like your banks. And you will also, if you have certain expenses, for example, a travel logbook or retirement annuity, those types of expenses you should then populate in the return. So it's always wise to still open return and still look what has been pre-populated and see whether you're in agreement with it. And if you're really unsure, you can always approach SARS via an online appointment or at their branches, or you can also make use of tax practitioners to assist you in the process.
Well, you see, I'm busy talking to one right now. Of course, Tertius, they can also get hold of you. I won't give out your cell phone number, don't worry. But I'm curious, though, with this auto-assessment, we've been hearing quite a few reports that I imagine you would receive an SMS or at the very least an email from SARS saying that the auto-assessment is going to take place, all the information you've just spoken about taken into account, and here's the amount of money you're going to get. But some people have gotten money paid into their own bank accounts from SARS without even knowing about the auto-assessment. What happens in a case like that where the money suddenly appears, but you might not agree with the amount that was sent to you? How do we now try and fix this? What do we do?
Yes, I think SARS is trying to be a bit too proactive in that case, because the auto-assessment SMSs were sent out between the 1st and the 7th of July this year. And in certain circumstances, people would receive an SMS and about 72 hours later, because that's what SARS said, they actually received the refund due to them in their bank accounts. But this does not necessarily mean that amount is correct. That person should still see whether that refund is accurate, or whether they've got other sources of income that they should have declared, maybe a rental income for a flat that SARS is not aware of. And in that case, that person it doesn't mean if they receive a refund that amount is truly theirs. They need to make sure that their return is correct, their assessment is correct, and that any amount that is outstanding is actually paid to SARS. If the person believes that all the information is correct and the refund that they've received they believe is accurate, that is their money, because they have paid too much tax during the course of the year, and therefore that amount is refunded to them.
What do we do when it comes to these auto assessments? This might seem like a very daft question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Does everybody automatically go through an auto assessment? Do you have a choice in the matter? Can you opt out of it, or do you need to intercept it after they've begun the process? Or is this now in place for everybody unless you interject and start doing it manually? How does that work?
Yeah, so auto assessment is definitely not available to everyone. It's a select number of employees that SARS has identified as low risk. Like I said, usually your people with only remuneration or employment income, and maybe a little bit of interest from a bank. So SARS has just identified, I think the figure was about 3.5 million taxpayers to which they've sent auto assessment SMSs. But generally, there's still a vast number of other taxpayers who have more complex tax returns that would need to file the tax return as they do on an annual basis, and thereby pay any top-ups that are required. So no, it's not open to everyone.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought everyone kind of was, I'm talking about regular employees, not big business owners, for example. Everyone in South Africa would be auto-assessed unless you actually get involved manually as well. Tertius, thank you. Wonderful advice. I hope that helped anyone struggling with this at the moment. Tertius Troost from Mazars Tax Consulting down in Cape Town for us as well. So the auto-assessments, if you got the money already from SARS, you probably didn't even know what it was. I would recommend, and so did Tertius, that you just go onto your SARS profile. If you've got a tax practitioner, get them to double check the amount of money that you received, if that is what you are entitled to. What you do not want is to use that money in your account only to then realize actually you weren't supposed to get that much. It happens. It does happen. So if it has happened to you, just go onto your SARS profile, e-filing, whatever you use, and just make sure it is what you were supposed to get.